Hello and welcome to Symbols and Cynicism, a podcast where we talk about all of the things that I love, some of the things that I hate, and this wacky adventure that we call life. My name is Bob, I'm your host, and I'm glad you're here today for Clone Wars Season 3, Episodes 12, 13, and 14. And why can't you park your vehicle? Let's get started. Welcome back. I'm going to get right into today's episode, but just want to remind you to tell your friends, share us on Facebook, visit our YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube. More people listening and watching is more fun. On today's show, Clone Wars Season 3, Episodes 12, 13, and 14. This one is for all of you who say animation is just a kid's show. And why can't you park your vehicle? Let's roll. All right, Clone Wars Season 3, Episodes 12, 13, and 14. I've got just two words for you today, the NIGHTSISTERS. And yes, that's two words, the NIGHTSISTERS. NIGHTSISTERS is one word. We'll get into all that in a bit. I just want to say first, these are one of the coolest groups of Star Wars characters, one of my absolute favorites. This arc is one of my absolute favorites. I love the lore, I love the story, I love the vibe, the feel, the groove, the whole thing is just, in my opinion, peak Star Wars. Lots and lots of lore in these episodes, and actually lots of lore in the next 6 episodes. We're going to do these 3 today. Next time we talk about Star Wars, it's the next 3, the Mortis arc. The 2 aren't related, but 6 back-to-back episodes of absolute Star Wars awesomeness. In addition to that, in these 6 episodes, with the NIGHTSISTERS here and Mortis coming up, we get 2 very different views of the Force. We think of the Force in general as light side, dark side, Jedi, and Sith. There are a lot of different ways to view the Force and a lot of different groups of people in the galaxy far, far away, and they use and see and interact with the Force differently. Been reading through the High Republic series, just got finished with a book that talks a lot about a religion called the Path of the Open Hand, and they see the Force totally different. There's a lot of conflict between the Jedi and the Path of the Open Hand in the use of the Force, how they see it, how it works, etc. So lots of great stuff today and coming up soon. So let's get into it. We start off these episodes with Asajj Ventress. And I don't think we've talked about much about Asajj in the past, but amazing character with a lot of depth. We see her here as Count Dooku's assassin. But to understand Asajj, we have to back up quite a bit. Asajj, by the way, is based on the concept art from the original Phantom Menace. When they were making all these Star Wars movies, even way back to A New Hope, they had art made. Like, what do we want this character? This happens in a lot of movies. What do we want this character to look like? Or this ship, or this planet, this space. And when they were deciding on some of the big bad characters, they had a short list. They chose Darth Maul. He's sort of the big bad Sith apprentice. But at one point, a character much like Asajj Ventress was included in that short list. She didn't make the cut. That's okay, because we get her here, and it's awesome. Asajj is a Dathomirian Night Sister, and that will mean more in a bit. She was born on Dathomir. That's a planet. She was taken from her parents and enslaved into piracy. Along the way, she meets Jedi Knight Kai Merrick, and they join forces. Asajj, being Force sensitive, as are most Dathomirians, Kai trains her in the use of the light side as they battle warlords and pirates on a planet called Ratatak. Before her training was complete, Kai is killed in a battle against those pirates, and she was then subsequently rescued by a man by the name of Count Dooku. That's right, we've heard of Count Dooku. Count Dooku rescued Ventress, trained her in the dark side of the Force. So she's been trained in both. She was light side with Kyneric. She was dark side with Count Dooku. So she is a very layered, very complicated character, and we'll see more of that soon. Here, we see her as a dark side Force user assassin for Dooku. That will change throughout today's story, but for right now, she is. Throughout the Clone Wars, she often changes allegiances. She works for Dooku, she works for Obi-Wan, she's on her own, she's a bounty hunter, etc., etc. At times, but usually she tends to look out for herself. More on her throughout this story and at the end of our story. So Asajj is on a mission for Dooku. The mission fails. Palpatine, meanwhile, calls in to Dooku, and Palpatine is worried. Guess I should say it's Lord Sidious calls in to Palpatine, and he's worried that the assassin, Asajj, is getting too powerful. Sidious is worried that if Asajj becomes too powerful, that Asajj and Dooku together could overthrow himself. So he orders Dooku to kill her, which Dooku must obey because Sidious is his master. So he tries to blow up the ship, etc. Being injured and alone, she retreats to her homeworld of Dathomir to seek help from the Night Sisters, from whence she came. Now, Dooku thinks that he killed her. He also thinks that he killed Obi-Wan and Anakin. They were all on the same ship together. He's feeling pretty good about life. Dathomir. Let's talk about Dathomir for a moment. It is a remote, neutral planet in the Outer Rim. That means it's way far away from Coruscant, and it is not under Republic control. The dark side of the Force is intense on Dathomir. It is also called often the Rancor planet, as it is the homeworld of Rancors. You've seen Rancors before. They're the ones that Luke fights at the beginning of Return of the Jedi in Jabba's basement. And there's also one in Boba Fett that Boba Fett befriends in about the middle of that season and then rides that Rancor into battle later in the series. Dathomir is home to many Force wielders, including several clans of witches. Now, when we refer to the witches of Dathomir or Dathomirian witches, we are referring to all of the various clans of witches on Dathomir. There's also a race of males called the Zabrak. We'll get back to the Dathomirian witches and the Zabrak in a little bit. For now, the planet Dathomir circles a red star and thus is constantly bathed in red light. The atmosphere is red, the plants are red, everything is very goth. If you love goth stuff, this is like if Hot Topic was a planet, it would be Dathomir. This is the planet for you. It's definitely a vibe. It's its own groove in the Star Wars universe. Dathomir is also a matriarchal society. It's a planet controlled by the women, by these witches. The men are there to serve and, when necessary, be mates for their female rulers. When Ventress arrived, she heads straight for the coven of witches known as the Night Sisters. The Night Sisters is just one coven of several different covens of the witches on Dathomir or the Dathomirian witches. Before we discuss the Night Sisters, we have to get into a new and very controversial topic. New for us, not new for the Star Wars universe. Canon versus legend. You'll hear these terms a lot amongst the Star Wars fandom. Canon refers to stories, characters, plot, etc. that are officially approved by Lucasfilm. Now, Disney. The original trilogy, for instance, is canon. Along the way, there were also non-official stories, comics, novels, etc., and they were created not with approval of Lucas himself or Lucasfilm, and these are branded as legend. So you have Star Wars canon, you have Star Wars legend. When you hear something referred to as canon, that means it's official Star Wars story. When something is a legend, it is not. The prequels are canon. The sequels are canon. Clone Wars is canon. Anything owned by Disney is canon. Now, here's the problem. When there were only the 6 main movies, the original trilogy and then eventually the prequels, it was pretty easy to keep the two apart. We basically have the Skywalker saga. As the Legends stories grew, because people wanted more Star Wars, they became known as the Expanded Universe. The Expanded Universe, or EU, is Legend. And there were some really, really cool stories in the Legends Expanded Universe. Now, over time, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and eventually, with the approval of George Lucas, some of these Legends stories have become consumed into canon. If you're going to have a ton of Star Wars movies, shows, comic books, novels, you need to go beyond the Skywalker saga. And if the legend stories are already there and the fans already love them, then you might as well start to include them. So some of the Legends characters, like Thrawn, for instance, come into the canonized universe via things like Rebels, or in today, the Night Sisters come in via Clone Wars. Thrawn, the Night Sisters, that was all Legends Expanded Universe. Now here's the trouble. Once a Legends character becomes canonized, does every piece of the Legend storyline also become canonized, or just what's in canon? The character can become official canon, but how much of their story comes into play? The debate rages, and we are not here to have that debate. Here's the point. In a 1994 Legends book called The Courtship of Princess Leia, keep in mind, 1994 is before the prequels came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a group of witches known as the Night Sisters. These witches also eventually made their way into comics, which were also Legend, and a video game, which is arguably canon, not going there today. In January of 2011, they were included in this Clone Wars series, and so therefore the Night Sisters are canon. So therefore, is their entire Legends backstory also canon? Again, not going to debate that here. Maybe we'll find out in canonized future stories that it is. For now, let's just say that the Legends backstory is really cool, so here's the legend. 600 years before the Battle of Yavin, or about 585 years before our story today, there was a Jedi Knight named Jedi Knight Alia. She was a fallen Jedi who was exiled from the Order of the Jedi to live on the planet known as Dathomir. Alia did some pretty questionable things via the use of the Force, and the Jedi were done having it. Dathomir was a horribly rugged planet where very rarely would anybody even survive without the use of dark energy. Alia battled for her own survival, tamed rancors to be her beasts of burden, assumed into her Force usage part of the dark side of the Force. Now, because she was a Jedi, she didn't go all the way in to the dark side. She did not become a Sith. She used enough to survive, and eventually started a splinter clan of a new witch coven known as, you guessed it, the Night Sisters. So the Night Sisters were begun by a fallen Jedi. The Night Sisters are known even today for their use of dark side and dark magic, but do not go so far into the dark side so as to become a Sith. They are not Sith. Remember, we are expanding our vision of the Force. It's not just Jedi and Sith. There's all kinds of ways to use the Force. They believe that the Sith dabble way too far into the dark side and become a part of the dark side of the Force. The witches don't want to go that far. They are also known for their ability to create objects from thin air, to transform themselves into ghostly, invisible beings, and to reanimate the dead. Zombies, you say? Strap in, honey child. Welcome to the world of the Night Sisters. We'll get into more of those as time goes on. Suffice it to say, for now, they are dark-leaning but not Sith. They are also not even close to Jedi. They respect the light side of the Force, but do not seek it in the ways of knowledge, such as a Jedi, and they are not power-hungry like the Sith. They're somewhere in the middle. They're their own portion of the Force. The Force is not a continuum. There are many different points on the sphere. For a very long time, the Night Sisters stayed essentially neutral in the galaxy, kept to themselves on Dathomir. At one point, Yoda and some other Jedi are stranded on Dathomir, and essentially, after coming in contact with the Night Sisters, make a treaty with the witches that the Jedi would not interfere in their magic so long as the witches would remain neutral, assuming neither the side of the Jedi nor the side of the Sith. Eventually, the head witch becomes a woman by the name of Mother Talzin. Mother Talzin is an incredibly powerful witch who is still the head witch of the Coven at the time of our story today. She is powerful, she is smart, she is cunning, and as we'll see, she is angry. Mother Talzin for a short time worked with Darth Sidious. They formed an alliance and traded Force secrets. It is from Mother Talzin that Sidious learned about magic and necromancy, and it's why he sometimes seems to have magical Force powers that others do not possess. Palpatine also, at this time, needed a new apprentice. Pause there, we'll pick up that story in just a minute. Also on Dathomir, in addition to the various covens of witches, there is a subservient race of powerful men known as the Zabrak. The Zabrak come from either Dathomir or a different planet known as Iridonia. You've seen Zabrak before. If you've seen Phantom Menace, Darth Maul is a Zabrak. You'll also remember, just a reminder, that at the end of Phantom Menace, Darth Maul is cut in half and tossed into the pit by Obi-Wan after he kills Qui-Gon during the Duel of the Fates scene. Obi-Wan slices Maul in half, tosses him into the pit. The Zabrak men in general on Dathomir are a subservient race of men native to both Dathomir and Iridonia. They are known for their distinctive small horns on the top of their heads, as well as having two internal hearts. They have pale skin. I know what you're thinking. Maul did not have small horns and did not have pale skin. Hold on a second. We'll get there. They have pale skin and are fairly strong. When the Night Sisters need something, like a mate, they go to the Zabrak village and they allow them to fight to the death in a contest to see who the strongest male is in order to take the strongest mate so that they can have the strongest offspring bloodline. If you're a Zabrak male, this is not the best way to live, but also not the worst. I mean, you get to be the mate of a magical, strong-willed, beautiful witch? It could be a lot worse. At one point, Mother Talzin found a mate and bore several sons. One of those sons was named Maul. That's right, Maul is the son of Mother Talzin, the head witch of the Night Sisters. So back to our story. Sidious needs an apprentice. In typical Sidious fashion, he takes what he wants, and what he wants is Maul. So he takes Maul as his apprentice, thus stealing Mother Talzin's son away from her. This starts a heated rivalry between the two. Now remember again, in Phantom Menace with Sidious, he says, quote, "I am sending you my new apprentice," which was Maul. So at that point of the story in Phantom Menace, Sidious just got Maul from Mother Talzin. Over the course of that story, of course, Maul is sliced in half by Obi-Wan. Fast forward through Attack of the Clones, approximately 10 years later to where we are today, probably more like 11, Mother Talzin is still not happy that Sidious stole her son and got him killed. Put a pin in that. Mother Talzin hates Sidious for taking her son Maul and getting him killed. Back to the main story. Asajj arrives hurt and asks for help. Mother Talzin is happy to comply. After all, Asajj is a Night Sister. During the healing process, we see Asajj's backstory that we've already talked about, so we can fast forward through that. Mother Talzin's plan is clear. She gives Asajj 2 other Night Sister warriors to take an invisibility potion, and so off they go to kill Dooku using Jedi lightsabers so that Dooku assumes he is being assassinated by Jedi. No one questions, where'd you get the Jedi lightsabers? No one questions if we are going to kill him, why he needs to think we are Jedi in the first place. They just say, okay, take the lightsabers, turn invisible, and off they go. They also have a potion dart to dull the senses of Dooku to make him easier to kill. 3 powerful Night Sisters are not able to take down a basically drunken Dooku who just woke up from sleep. This guy is a stud. We've seen it already. He stands up to Obi-Wan and Anakin together, followed immediately by a fight to the draw with Yoda, and now he's taking on 3 powerful Night Sisters, including one who's his former assassin that he trained. The Night Sisters, after their loss, retreat back to Dathomir, and Mother Talzin is unfazed. Don't worry, she has a plan B. Why did they need to be Jedi? Because Mother Talzin knew they were going to fail, and she needed Dooku to think it was Jedi. Mother Talzin is not only strong in the Force, she is also really, really smart and very cunning, and she is playing the long game. Remember, she doesn't care about Dooku, she is after Sidious. The next part of the plan works equally as well because Dooku now realizes he needs another assassin. He thinks Asajj is dead. Oh look, a phone call from Mother Talzin to Dooku. She says, hey, I hear you need a new apprentice. I think I can help. Dooku asks how she knows, and she says, I hear things. Which Dooku doesn't question any further. Moron. You would think he would know about Asajj's Night Sister history. You would think he would know about necromancy, and maybe if she was dead, the witches revived her, and maybe nope, he just goes with it. Nope, I need a new assassin, and she's willing to help. So Dooku goes to Dathomir, and they make an agreement that Mother Talzin will provide a new apprentice. Not just any new apprentice, one that is, quote, in the bloodline of Darth Maul. A few remain in his bloodline. Dooku is notably interested. We'll be in touch. Dooku leaves. Meanwhile, Mother Talzin now sends Asajj to the Zabrak village to choose a warrior. Now remember, the Zabrak, when this happens, think it's in order to be a mate. They think they're fighting in order to be her willing mate. But Asajj is choosing a warrior. And we see the selection process. They fight, there's cunning, there's strength, etc. A male by the name of Savage Opress, spelled like the word savage, by the way, and the last name is Oppress, as in to keep down. Not very subtle. Anyway, Sauvage wins the favor of Asajj by volunteering to go with her in order to save his brother, Farrell, spelled like feral, like as in feral animal. Again, not real subtle, but this is Star Wars. Now, Savage is protective of his brother Farrell for a few reasons, partially because there used to be 3 brothers, and the 3rd brother has been gone for a while. They assume him dead. More on that later. Savage is taken to the Coven, and they magic this fairly large, fairly strong Zabrak male into a menace. He gets multiple inches taller, multiple inches broader. He is stronger. His horns grow. He's angrier. His skin changes color to deeper, darker tones. This is suddenly a dude. Not unlike Darth Maul. We start to get this hint like, this is how we got Darth Maul in the first place. In order to fully pledge his service to the coven, he is asked to commit an act of service to kill his brother Pharrell, which he does by snapping his neck. Well, down goes another brother. Remember, it's just an animated kids show. So, they send Savage to Dooku with the following plan. Pretend to be Dooku's apprentice and learn from him about the dark side of the Force. When the time comes, Asajj will show up and the both of you will team up to kill Dooku. Ready? Break. So, off he goes. Dooku is impressed with his new apprentice, but in order to prove his worth, he needs to go kill a bunch of people. What is it with Star Wars? Like, prove your love to me by going and murdering? So anyway, off goes Savage. Among the people at the location that he is headed to are 2 Jedi. Now, Savage dispatches the guards and the 2 Jedi barely breaking a sweat. I can't describe properly the strength and power of Savage Opress. You have to see it. He is a beast. He is a raw, powerful slab of angry meat. He is a menace. Savage returns to Dooku and begins his training. He has proven himself. Step 1, Dooku makes him even angrier than he already was with the use of Force lightning, a little bit of belittling behavior. Meanwhile, Dooku also declares that together, the 2 of them can become more powerful than Sidious and rule the galaxy together. Dooku, remember, was asked to kill Asajj because Sidious was worried that they were going to team up and kill him, and that must have been true because here's Dooku and Savage, and Dooku's new plan is, let's get strong and go take down Sidious. Meanwhile, at the Jedi Temple, they have a holo recording of the recent Jedi slayings, and Obi-Wan Kenobi is there to see it. Watching this massive Zabrak male slice through Jedi, he utters a name that we have not heard in a long time in the Star Wars universe, Darth Maul. And they notice it's not Darth Maul. He's different because in Obi-Wan's word, but Maul is dead. Well, then this must not be Maul, but he's similar and he's Zabraki, so off they go to investigate. Okay, the time must be right because here comes Asajj. Dooku is surprised to see alive at all. 3 Night Sisters can't take down Dooku, but now surely Savage and Asajj can, right? Nope, stalemate. Dooku is one bad mother. Epic battle here, though. He's fighting off Asajj with a lightsaber in one hand while Force lightning Savage with the other. He is a whole problem for everyone. Obi-Wan and Anakin pay Mother Talzin a visit meanwhile, and they find out about Savage. They track down Savage and show up with Dooku. Now, reminder, Dooku thought he killed Obi-Wan and Anakin also, and all of a sudden, all of these people are showing up. And Dooku must have been like, well, I thought I killed all of you. Look, Dooku is great in a battle. He's a great planner, not so great in the execution and the finishing of those plans. Asajj escapes with her life. We'll see her in stories again and again. Sometimes she's on the dark side, sometimes she's helping Obi-Wan, etc. a little bit. In the book Dark Disciple, highly recommended book, which follows the storyline of a Clone Wars arc that was cut. Asajj goes on a mission with Jedi Master Quinlan Vos. We see Quinlan off and on very few times in the Clone Wars animated series, but this book is mostly Asajj and Quinlan on a mission. During the mission, they fall in love. If you'll watch Tales of the Underworld on Disney Plus, the first 3 of those, you see Asajj and Quinlan. Quinlan says, I love you after she has died in battle. He gives her back to the waters of life, walks away thinking she's dead. She is revived by the Night Sisters. Remember, necromancy is our friend, and begins posing as a Jedi in the hopes of reconnecting with Quinlan. Now, that whole part of the story is after Order 66. So she's a Jedi, but she's got to hide it because the Jedi are under attack. Anyway, we'll see her throughout this series, and in the Bad Batch, she is a reoccurring character. Of course, Obi-Wan and Anakin escape. Of course, Dooku escapes alive. I mean, all these people need to be coming back in future episodes. Savage, he escapes as well. Now he's hurt, he's mad, he's frustrated, and he has nowhere to go except to return to Dathomir to Mother Talzin. Asajj betrayed him. The Jedi are after him. Dooku has sent him away. Dooku now knows Savage was there to kill him. He's not about to accept him as his continued apprentice. He knows he's not strong enough to defeat Asajj and Dooku and the Jedi. Don't worry, Mother Talzin says. You have a brother. But you made me kill my brother, right? Like Pharrell. That's what I killed him a while ago. He even says, all of my kind are dead. Now, he does not mean all of the Zabrak males. We know they're not dead. They're off in the village on the other side of the planet. He means his brothers. And we end the episode with an image in Mother Talzin's crystal ball. Darth Maul lives in exile. Savage will go to find him, and together, this is the plan, they will be the ultimate power. Mother Talzin tells him, you have an important destiny to fulfill, you and your brother. And Savage sets off. So yes, if Savage's brother is Maul, then Savage's mother is Mother Talzin. Mother Talzin had 3 sons, Maul, Savage, and Pharrell, which means also she had her one son kill her other son, Pharrell, during this whole process. But what's the point of the entire story, other than being ridiculously cool? Dooku's failed assassination attempt by the 3 Night Sisters was only an attempt to get Dooku to come to Mother Talzin so that she could plant Savage in his service to gain force training so that he could return more powerful, go to find his brother, and she orchestrated all of it from the very beginning. She never cared if Dooku died. She didn't really care about Asajj, probably. She doesn't care about anything but getting Sidious, who stole her son. Now you're thinking to yourself, she's so worried about one son, but she had a second son kill the third son just to get back to the first son. Look, I'm not saying evil makes sense. Okay? Now she plans to have her son Savage go to Maul so they can come back together more powerful and take down Sidious. So good. So much lore, so much cool story. We won't see the next part of this story until the end of season 4 of Clone Wars. But don't worry, we'll get there, and we will definitely cover that story when we get there. Plenty of great stories to get to before that, all in good time. Look, canon, legends, whatever. I will not have that debate. I do, however, say all of the time, Dave Filoni is an American treasure. With Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni at the helm of the Star Wars Disney universe, without them, we wouldn't have the Night Sisters, we wouldn't have Thrawn, we wouldn't have the return of Maul, none of it. Thank you, Dave Filoni. Without Dave Filoni, Maul is just a really scary character that gets killed off after a few minutes of screen time in Phantom Menace. He brought that back. He brought Mother Talzin, Savage, made them brothers. They're going to be a menace in the galaxy for a really long time. Remember, gang, it's just an animated kids show, right? Yeah, animated kids show with witches and betrayal and backstabbing and murder and necromancy and revenge. Kids show my butt. If you haven't watched these 3 episodes, please go watch them. So much cool stuff in here that I left out as far as the specific story goes. I was focused so much on the lore and the backstory. They're really cool lightsaber battles. There's some really cool dialogue. Just really, really good stuff. And while you're there, keep going into the next 3 episodes right after that with the Mortis arc, which we'll be discussing next time we come back to Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I love Clone Wars, so go watch some Star Wars.
That's it! No, breathe, find your happy place.
Why can't you park? Didn't we all take driver's ed? Right? We all learned maneuverability. Right? In order to get our driver's license, we all had to pass maneuverability. Right? Then why can't people hit the parking spot? You don't even need to do it backwards. Just pull in and put the car between the lines. And if you're not sure, open your door, check where the yellow line is, and adjust as needed. If you drive a fairly large car, then it is really important that you hit the spot. Smaller cars, you have some leeway, flexibility in there. You're between the lines, but not in the center, fine. Larger cars, you gotta be pretty much in the center because it's taking up most of the spot. There's too many people driving large vehicles, you don't know how to park them. And if your vehicle is really big and doesn't even fit between the lines, then go way out there in the far end of the parking lot. Take up as many spaces as you need, far away from those of us that know how to live in a proper society. The problem with taking driver's ed and maneuverability is that we take it and we're tested when we're 16. And then too many people have forgotten. Too many people take their test in a Honda Civic and now they're driving an Escalade. So new rule, when you buy a car, you get retested. New car, used car, lease, all of it. New car, gotta pass the test in the new vehicle. And everybody who's going to drive that vehicle has to do it. And none of this taking the test in a Honda Civic and then driving away in your brand new shiny Escalade. I feel better. Do you feel better? Homework for the week. Giving you another excerpt from Kids Deserve It. It's summer vacation. We need a little extra charge, and this is a good one today. Quote, "Every educator faces the dark night when he feels like an utter failure. No matter how important it is to keep going when things go wrong, sometimes it's easier said than done." End quote. He goes on to tell a story. I'm jumping to the end of this chapter. Quote, "We all have a choice about how we will view our situations. It's important to keep a watchful eye on those things we need to improve and find ways to fix them. But it's more important to hold our heads high and not let our failures overwhelm us. Change and growth take time and lots of hard work. We need to continue to work hard and celebrate the successes while building on the failures. Kids deserve it." End quote. Okay, that's the show. Make sure to leave a rating, drop a comment, or send a message on the app of your choice. You can text the show with a link at the bottom of the description. You can check out our merch store at themarchingarts.com/RHS and our YouTube channel at Robert H. Sloan RHS Music. We hope you'll join us next week for Clone Wars Season 3, Episodes 15, 16, and 17, Mortis. And Automatic Restart? Thanks for joining me today. The theme music is Superfly, written by me, copyright RHS Music. The show logo is designed by John Suh. Our producer is my sister, Kathy. I hope you'll join us next time for more reflections and rantings on symbols and cynicism.